lot of strife going on between unions, government, private companies, and particularly right now with the union and uniformed services. What are your views on what's taking place and how it might be resolved?
Well, the difficulty is that this conflict that's been happening between the uniformed services and negotiations with the government has been ongoing for a really long time. The pandemic has just kind of put everything to a head. So obviously, the government is looking for ways to cut back and for costs. But what happens when you look at the uniformed services and the job that they are asked to do, and specifically in this pandemic, when this was the group that we were looking to protect us, your fire service, where they're your first responders going into people's houses, taking the risk. You look at what was going on in our prisons, the angst of, the potential of that environment being a place where the virus could have gotten into. And as we went through the anxiety in our country and we saw, a spike in gang violence, and we were looking to our police in order to protect us and make the country feel safe about where we are. And now, we're in a position where you start to hear, the word layoff when you're talking about the uniformed services. That's a very difficult position to put that group in when we've relied on them so heavily over the last several months. The part that's difficult is that when you call an election and you're going to spend a bunch of money for the election at the same time that you're telling people that you've got to cut back, and you're going to tell people that they're going to get less money in their pay, or we're going to lay you off, you're sending out a mixed message that has to be putting even more stress and anxiety on this group of people that has already been feeling that way. You have to have a trust factor when you're sitting down and talking to our uniformed services about what is going to be needed for us to move forward. We all understand that there's been pay cuts, there's been layoffs throughout the island, but when you have a group that's that critical to how we move forward and how we are perceived outside of the country and how our citizens feel, we have to do a better job of taking care of them. Most people don't think about the police, the prisons, and our fire service until you need them. And when you need them, you expect that service to be there. And a lot of times we ignore them in between. We can't do that. I think that COVID has shown us how important those services are, and they were our front line. They were the ones that were taking care of our country. And we need to feel safe, and we need them to be out front. So if we're not making them feel comfortable being out front because of the way that we are treating them at the negotiating table, that's putting us in a difficult spot.